Okay, so it's two. Let's start in time. On time. So as usual, we have an agenda that probably is going to be totally packed, covered, but we will try to make it as efficient as possible. Welcome. This is the Green Working Group meeting. This time is the first time that we have only one session of about these 2 hours. And well, the idea is to start with a few reflections on this first. The other, my co-chair Rob is connected on the remotely. He's 8 hours less, right? So we're talking about is 5 in the morning for you, or 6. What it is? It's 6.
Luckily, it's 6 a.m., but it's I've been up for an hour to prep, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, it could be. I mean, it could be worse. But thank you anyway. And I have Luis with me that is acting as a delegate. So in the case that we need additional help on site. What you have on your screens, on the screen, and hopefully on the screens, if you are remotely connecting, is the Note 12 for the IETF, the rules that are governing the meetings, and well, dictating some issues regarding IPR and proper behavior. You have seen them very often, but as the security instructions, safety instructions in the planes is something that is convenient that you read and are well aware of. These are the rules, and that we are doing this meeting. And with this, well, just to introduction to the agenda, we are at the first stage, the first item on the introduction on the from the chairs. Basically, it's about, well, we will ask later on if you have any comment to the agenda. We need some note takers. Rob is going to take some notes. I told me, you, if anyone willing, I know that there are ongoing AI transcripts and things like that, but any help from humans is always extremely appreciated because the AI is not that totally configurable, and for sure, for those of you who make presentations or questions or enter in any discussion, I think that it's really important that you connect to the note page and check that your names, your ideas, the replies exchange have been properly recorded. This is important because part of the most important part of what we want to record is precisely those interactions. Please take your time. I'm not asking you to take notes of everything that happens, but at least that we are able to provide an accurate record of what has been discussed. Apart from that, well, we will make a short review of the status of the working group, and then we are going to work in the same with a similar structure what they have followed in the previous groups, in the previous meetings. Sorry, one there was an item focused on the base drafts and the base model, which are, as you know, is the main target of the group activities right now. We have 3 base documents that have been already adopted and the model in which we are working. Then we have allocated some time for an open discussion on this. Just to, among other things, is there are open questions to continue with the documents and the model, and to give you a view of how we have been working during this between Montreal and now with the interim meetings. And then we will move on to other documents, other drafts that have been presented. One of them has been around for a while, and this is the one on Petra, and other new proposals that we have on IPFix, transport, and what's going on in our sister group in the IETF process thing. Status, well, I would say that we are progressing well. In Montreal, we agreed on a pattern of working and a set of immediate goals to be addressed. We have adopted with I would say, with a quite reasonable consensus, the documents on use cases, terminology, and the framework. The base model is maturing, and you will see that we are making good progress with it. And for sure, there are some questions that are open, and that Benoit will take care of drive the discussions, highlighting these open questions, and highlight the discussions. And well, the idea is that this has been, I would say, it has proved to be that this way of work has proved to be productive, effective, and the idea is to continue in this way for the next term till we meet again in Vienna. The idea is to have a lightweight design team. It's not formally a design team as I described, but it's a group of people that are mostly involved in these base documents and in the model mainly. And every 2 weeks, there is a meeting with the whole community, all of that want to participate, and well, have their say and try to decide on how the work on these documents and the model is evolving. Now that we have reached this level of maturity, for sure the work is not done, but we are starting a moment. We are approaching a point in which these results would become available, or at least stable enough to be considered, let's say, mature. The idea is that, well, is about that we have the opportunity to put some more effort in extended modeling, whatever that you think, that the group thinks that would make sense to be considered on top of this base model, and for sure considering something that has been very important, and we will go on this in a moment, is how we relate what we are doing here with what is happening elsewhere on energy related, you name it. Routing, service evaluation, application management, whatever. This is something that is important. It's important that we start considering this. Just to give you an example, one of the documents that is about IPFix, the group is very much focused on Yang, you know that, but precisely there is an ongoing work that is going to be reported today that is on IPFix, and it seemed to us that it made sense to start considering this as well in green. Well, apart from that, Luis is here, sitting to my right, and thanks to all of you that are far away and have connected early in the morning or very late in the evening, or in a complicated situation. I suffered this in the past, and it's interesting. All these requires, and this is a reminder that this and the bold font is precisely as a strong reminder that we need. It's not only about the authors of the document. It's about you all, we all as a community, about review the documents, make comments, and progress in the consensus formation and in increasing the quality of the documents. All the documents that have been adopted means, just as a reminder as well, that adopted means that the group believes that the addressing what is considered there makes sense for the group, and it should be one of the results of the group, but they are far from being complete. And the idea is that you keep working or keep reviewing, and making your comments, and helping us in making something that makes sense. And in particular, the base model, the Yang base model, is close to completion. We will go very soon, if everything goes as planned, for a adoption call, and you are expected as well to in particular to review that document and make your comments. As I said, one of the issues, apart from this good progress that we are making, and that and this plan to continue working in a similar way as we have done since Montreal, there's been some issues with the outreach, with the relationship of what we are doing here with what other groups are doing in different, including energy measurements for application considerations, for routing, for quality of for quality of service, etc. It's something that has happened, and it will continue to happen because it's natural. Whatever we call it, we're talking about sustainability and carbon footprints or energy measurements or energy control is going to happen, and it's natural that it happens. And we have had, as I said, interactions within the IETF and as well outside. Recently, we have a conversation, for example, with the World Wide Web Consortium on their plans for sustainability. Well, that's perfectly fine, and as I said, totally natural. We as a group, we don't intend, and for sure, we can't decide how these energy measurements can be applied and which are the rules that how this information can be exchanged in different protocols by different means, or how they could influence algorithms or procedures or whatever. But what we would like, and this is something that we have discussed, Rob, Mahesh as our AD and myself, is about that we try to keep, and we think that it's natural that we keep the core reference for energy measurement and control. But don't make sense from a point of view, at least within the IETF. Then we will have to convince and liaise probably with other groups, with other organizations. But within the IETF, for sure, that what we do here in terms of conceptual and modeling of energy measurement and control should be the core reference. And what you're trying to do is not to slow down or stop or in any way impact the development of these mechanisms, additional mechanisms considering energy, but to avoid misalignment and potential fragmentation. If we believe, and just to give a stupid example that comes to my mind right now, if we believe that you have to measure things and count the time of measurement in seconds, would not make any sense that we go and somewhere else we are talking about minutes. Simply that. I mean, simply that we are not. Well, we would appreciate your help with this. Tony
Lee. Just clarification, does this imply that device management would stay here?
Sorry, the what?
Device management.
Device management.
Yes.
If we are talking about the energy device management, we hope so, yes.
Thank you.
I mean, we're talking about measurement and control include the control of the device, yes. And well, if you have comments, objections, or on the other hand, if you are aware of any activity that we can try to synchronize with, it's something that would be really appreciated that you contact us. Finally, what we anticipate is, as I said, that we are going to keep working the same way we have been working since Montreal. The next meeting, then we will resume these fortnightly meetings with the lightweight design team on the 30th of March at 2 p.m. UK. That by that time will be, now is GMT, but will be GMT +1. So as far as I can tell, Rob has already shared the invite for this, and they are not closed, these 19 meetings. They are open to the whole community. So we hope you connect, you will contribute, you will help all of us in building a core set of documents and model that would be useful. If you believe that there is anything else that would require an interim press, let us know. Let us know, send us an email to Rob, to myself, to both of us, include Mahesh, whatever, so we can try to organize this. As I said, now at this stage, it would be interesting to consider opening other activities, because this one of the core goes well. It's not finished, but it's going well, and I do believe that additional activity would help us in finishing the full polish of the core model. And with this, unless Rob, you want to add anything?
No, I think we're good. Thanks.
Okay, with this, I will we'll finish and we can continue with the presentation. First one, if far and well is Ching, yeah. It's this side.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So I will give a quick update of terminology for energy efficiency network management. So current version is 0.1, and so document status, version 0.0 was adopted as a working group draft in November, just in previous IETF meeting before. And thanks Camille, Tony, and Mohammed, and Diego, Dongjie, and many others to provide valuable comments and input. Based this input and comments, actually we filed the issue ticket and try to address in the latest version, version 1. So you see the change we made actually not too much, actually give a quick update. First, we added 2 terminology, including energy object and also energy saving. And the second is, we reference the power benchmark in BMWG working group. So we try to update the status of this power benchmark reference. And also we try to generalize this line GPON equipment into access equipment. So this is the main update we have. So review the new term we add here, for example, energy object. This is based on the discussion with Green Framework in draft authors. And one terminology they already proposed use is energy object. So we think this is more generic, and suggestion from the framework draft author is also moved to this terminology draft. So you can see the detailed definition of this terminology, and if you have any suggestion or different opinion, please let us know. And second definition is about energy aware, energy saving definition, and the title is not correct. So this is actually based on some discussion with terminology author, and we do have the open issue about this, and we actually took this definition really from E-man related already published RFC, but they don't have definition. They have some description text, so we come up with this this definition, put it into the terminology draft. So you can see we define the energy saving as a reduction in total energy consumption. Typically, it's measured against the baseline and per unit of output, rather than just amounts decrease. And happy to hear your review or comments on these 2 new definitions. And yeah, for next step, actually, we just recently we have a good sync up with all the Green Working Group draft team authors, and we think we already have use case framework and a young data model. So for this terminology, could serve as umbrella for all these drafts. So we hope for terminology has been widely used in framework use case. Young model can be moved to this green based terminology draft. In addition, we hear some opinion from my class actually suggest we need to better check the consistency of the terminology to be used in all the drafts. So this is the next step we should do. We should do more homework and make all the terminology in different drafts to better align. And second, actually, we currently we just maintain this draft in the individual repo. We think already we have framework and move to the working group repo. We think we can follow the same path. So we can move other the draft to the working group report so we can better track the progress of this worker. And so this require approval or permission from the working group chair and to help to do this transfer. Yeah. With that, I conclude my presentation. Any comments?
Hi, sure.
Mahesh speaking as an AD. What is the plan for the document? Other than the admin stuff, what is the next step? Is it done? Are we ready to publish it?
I think
No, no, it's okay.
from our side, actually, we think we need to better, make this draft better align with other draft, and then we can, make sure we don't miss any important terminology. I think, and after that, we can consider, to move for the publication. That's my personal opinion. Yeah.
Okay.
Benoit Claes. So we discussed this point in the past, and what we are proposing is to keep it alive for a bit of time. And whenever we publish the first documents, whether this is the framework or the Yang module or whatever, it means that it's stable enough for the next document to arrive. So we leave it untouched until it's the next one arrives, if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe being a code document, we need to align all code documents at the same time. Probably some additional terminology would appear beyond the code document, but that's something that we could deal elsewhere. But keeping this synchronization would be interesting. Okay, so I don't see anyone else. Emil is there waiting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cheng. You are more than welcome.
So,
Yes.
hello.
1 second,
Yeah.
I'm on my way.
So, let's start. So, I am Emile from Orange, and I edit the green use case documents with my co-authors there. You can go to. This is going to be dangerous. Take out to your eyes.
Should work.
Like that.
Oh, no, you have
Show
to-
me. Okay, good. And so I'm going to keep the presentation of the update very short, because I want to give time for the discussion at the end about all the documents we have in the core. And so basically in the version 1, we added the use case 16 about network level cross-layer energy saving. So it was provided by Xinu. I hope I'm not pronouncing good its first name. And it was in the previous version, but on the GitHub, but it was not reflected in the working group version. And it's about multi-layer coordination of energy saving action. I don't know if there are feedback on this use case. Yeah, please. You want to go to the mic? Okay.
Oh, okay.
You have time. Okay.
No, you can come even to say that you're extremely happy with the use case. Would be okay.
And now there was some refurbishment in the version before that I need to recall, because we added a table with Marisol about the usage of the framework interfaces by the use cases. It was initially in the use case draft, and we moved it in the framework document. And I will let the framework presentation to detail that. And so currently, I can say there are still overlapping between the use cases, but it's not an issue yet. We will see in the future to see how we group them and so on. But we decided to wait a bit for the framework on the modeling to make a loop to see how we are going to proceed. And I think there is a common view is to work on something in the hackathon in Vienna to make to improve consistency amongst the core document, and then we will decide how I clean up the use case draft. And so, if you have anything you want to say or to modify, you can go to the mic or make a pull request. But doesn't work. Oh no, I'm done.
That's all? Okay, so I don't see anyone in the queue, but any comments? So
Okay, good.
okay, so you have spare us 6 minutes. That's good. So Marisol, you are the next one. I guess that I should give you control to you, so it would be better that you.
Yes,
So
I don't know if you can see me, you can hear me.
Oh, I have no. Wait 1 second because I need to. We can see you. We can hear you. I'm gonna change to the framework slides right now, and I will give you control.
Okay. It's the first time for me to have remote control, I think, but let me see if it works. Yeah, I see how. Perfect. Well, thank you. I'm presenting the framework for energy efficiency management on behalf of the co-authors. We have been reaching adoption of the document right before the cutoff date. We moved as well from version 10 to version 00 as a working group adopted document. And we have been releasing just a couple of days ago a new version, 01. It doesn't have much on it. Some feedback that we have been receiving on the mailer for the call for adoption is already in there, but there are also open issues that will need to be discussed further with the group. Having said that, we will be based on version 00 here to comment the adopted document. Just to give a recap of what we have done since IETF 124. As you have been highlighting, Diego, the design team has been organizing bi-weekly calls where we have been accelerating mainly the green young data model, but also trying to align at the same time the green framework, and this has been the main progress, aligning with the green young data model. Even I will give a couple of more updates. And with that, we got to the consensus to adopt the document. As a general overview or high-level view on what we have done, based on the framework that we propose here with the different interfaces, highlighting the connectivity between the device component level to controller to the network domain level. The work that it has been done is aligning basically at the bottom at the device component level with the green young data model that Genchen will talk further. This work is not completed. I highlight there 70%, could be 70, could be 80, right? But still work to be done. We are starting now to discuss the green young data model at the controller level, and Benoit will address more about these discussions and why the shift. And we have introduced as well in the green framework another table for use case mapping that I will be highlighting later. And this is in progress, right? It's just started from the point of view of if it's a device-centric or
no, I guess that it was some unmuted mic over there.
Okay, no problem. And we have been also seeing, I would say, a good reference for the green framework in a couple of drafts on the API access, basically on this G service interface. On Luis, he will highlight on the Petra draft, but there are other drafts that are under Sustain RG as well, making a reference to the green framework. Okay, what has been the main changes in the draft from version 6 to version 10 since previous IETF meeting? Basically two chapters in the draft. One highlighting the data collection architecture, where there is a alignment to the GreenJAN data model based on the device and component level, but also highlighting this part that has not been covered yet on the YAN data models on the controller based. And also we introduce a new chapter for this use case implementation, much more practical, where we introduce a classification based on the device or controller focus centric, right? What needs to be more controlled by the device itself or where the controller might be needed, that I will also introduce here. With that, let me go to the data collection architecture requirements highlights. We are leveraging the framework based on the RFC 8348 on the IETF hardware YAN modules, where the energy metrics are mainly based on the hardware unique identifiers. If this is at the given by the device component level, or if we agree that there is also a role for the controller to maintain that duality, and I will talk later more about this. We agree that the framework supports both initiation models when the controller initiates this communication to understand the energy the energy monitoring or control when this comes to a discussion, but it could be initiated by the controller or by the device. And this dual mapping needs to be, is required for the controller to take actions in there. This is not finished, still under discussion, but this relationship needs to be addressed as well a bit further. More on what we have been highlighting on this chapter on the architecture requirements, we introduced this data source classification when we get metrics on energy consumption or energy efficiency. We have to understand if this is a measure estimated, or we don't know from where those data are, we might not know from where those data are coming. But source classification and accuracy are addressed, and with an implementation on the GreenJAN data model itself. There are also call out to the certifications for components, like it could be mainly for the PSUs, for the power supply units, where the operators can trust on the information that is given. And we have been introducing in the GreenJAN data model this call out for the IANA maintain YAN data model we have been proposing, and Genchen will highlight on this as well later. And a couple of more things that are introduced here on the reference architecture is the unit multiplier to have consistency across the YAN implementation. And we have been introducing as well the concept of power factor. With this, I would like to derive questions and discussions on these topics for the power state set mapping and intent, as well as the controller against device initiated communication to get more information about energy, and also the unique identifier based component identification for this duality mapping. I would like to derive those discussions for later, where we have been reserving more time and Benoit will lead that discussion, if this is fine. And with that, the other chapter or section on the framework document that I was as well referring at the beginning, here is a table summarizing this focus for implementation, and we introduce this classification about where the focus should be, if it's device-centric use case or hybrid mode kind of with device and controller, or just controller-centric. And we expect from here to have some key findings implementation and complement as well the young data models based on these discussions, and even prioritize, right? If we focus on some of these use cases, we probably will not be able to align with the use cases on all, but just giving preference to some of the use cases. For instance, Emil was highlighting this double accounting, right, focus. I know there are some interest on the video streaming as well, and we can further analyze on use case if we agree on any prioritization. With that, we have been defining as well next steps. And on this alignment with the green young data model, with the main focus in the past on the device, the next step for us is to focus on the controller. Even this is under discussion, and as I mentioned, Benoit will introduce this later. And we want to prioritize the use cases, and we, as it was discussed as well by Chin, we align on the green, to align and review the green terminology to align the terms that are common to the framework. And based on things that are not open, the issues to discuss further are already highlighted as well on the Git repo that is now part of the working group Git repo that Rob enabled for us, but we continue on the work based on that inputs as well. And with this, I finished the presentation. I don't know if there are any questions. Diego, I see you.
Yeah, I put myself on the queue just because, so not to forget one comment I want to make. It's about during the adoption call, we got a message from Ali Rezaki on these European best practices on energy management. I don't remember exactly the name. I think that it would be interesting that we address this somehow in the framework. I mean, it's more acknowledging that there are these best practices and that we are in the position of maintaining it. I don't think that is a matter of certification, I mean, of formal certification, but I think that we should pay attention with to Ali and try to address this as a part. I will open an issue, if you like, on the GitHub and add this. Or if you have that in mind.
There is an open issue already, because what we did is to open issues for each feedback meaningful that we need to follow up. And there is one issue open for it. And there were other references, right? The TR 181 was also called out. There is a lot of work, right? It is super fragmented between other standards, but I agree. I think Ali was highlighting this code of conduct, right? But I agree, we need to address on how these references, right? Yes, at least as a call out.
If you open the issue, there's nothing that I stand corrected, and thank you. I believe it's important that we send the message that we are taking. I mean, that what you're building here is essentially an enabler for all the social concerns about energy consumption and the like.
Yep, I agree. But the issue is open. Feel free to comment on it. I can put in the notes when the conversation is finished where is the reference, just in case anybody else wants to include.
So we have Deepak in the.
Hello, Deepak Nokia. a general question on the use cases as such. Are we considering, let's say, abstraction or normalizing certain metrics? Because the reason behind this question is I was going through some of the documents in CATS, and I see, of course, I mean, the document talks about much more metrics, but one particular metric is on power consumption. And so we have L0, L1, L2 level of abstractions in that document. So do we have similar use cases here as well, where we say we consolidate metrics from individual elements and then present it in a abstracted way? Are we covering that case?
Okay, Deepak, let me see if I understand. Are you referring to layer 0, 1, and 2 from the device or component level to sum up that power consumption of the different elements?
Yes,
That
I'm referring to, let's say, individual devices, and then we go up to a network level, and then, that kind of a level, yeah.
Right. Yes. If you see the reference model, right, this will be the role of the controller, as far as I see it, right? But basically, the controller will be able to monitor per device or per component whatever that abstraction is given, and then at the network domain level, and for that we will have the APIs in place. Right. This is the view.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim?
Hi, Marisol.
Hi.
So at the end of the slide, you mentioned, for young data model, actually, I remember it's focused on, device level, but now actually for next step, we will work on the controller level. So this will be documented in the same young data model chapter, or I'm not sure I should defer this question to the young data model presentation.
Yeah, I can give you the input that was discussed, right? I think we will include in a different YAN data model in another module, but we didn't get to create a base model yet for the component level, but sorry, for the controller level, but it might be a different YAN file, right? Yeah.
Okay, so in the past, we do have, 3 network level YAN model related to this controller model. Could be the input to this part. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Any other comments? Okay, so next one is again, that should be on its way while I, where is Marisol? Just 1 second. That's it.
Okay, so good afternoon. I'm Genchen from Huawei. I'm here to represent the progress of the draft power and energy YAN module on behalf of the authors. So first, there's some document history and recap. On the last IETF 124 meeting, there are some decisions made to establish a green design team and organize bi-weekly green design team meetings to accelerate the work on device monitoring in the first place, and then followed by the bi-weekly green working group meetings for decision validations. And also referring to Iman Energy and Power MIB as a starting point, which is RFC 7460. And do the parallel work together with a green framework and make the synchronization between these two drafts from time to time. And also the main objectives of the drafts have been decided to define the YAN module for power and energy monitoring, aligned with green framework terminology, use cases, and all these drafts already adopted as working group drafts. And support device component level energy management as well. So here's all the questions proposed and addressed on the green design team meetings. I will mention some of the important questions addressed, such as how should source ID be handled, the unique ID for energy objects. Are they the same one on the device side and controller side? Can we just reuse the existing UUID in RFC 8338? Do we need to introduce a power factor in the young model in replacement of power current type that was specified in the EMAN MIB? So namely alternating current and a direct current. What hierarchy should the accuracy classification follow to facilitate the accurate statistics and make it extensible? So should the young model adopt unimultiplier to represent 10-based exponents to scale power and energy units? How to address the double counting risk when measuring power and energy? How to formalize various relationships? Should we integrate industry energy efficiency certifications into the young model? And up to now, you can check in the latest drafts that has been proposed in the GitHub repo, as well as in the IETF data tracker. So there's the young tree diagram overview here as well. I will note a few important notes here, such as this source component ID, which could be mapped to the component name and the UUID in RFC 8338. And also there's monitoring of power and energy attributes, such as for power, instantaneous power, nameplate power, unimultiplier, and data source accuracy, power factor, measurement local for energy, total energy consumed, total energy delivered, and the unimultiplier as well, and data source accuracy, measurement local certification. So we'll come to some of them a bit later. And also, in the last but not the least, the relationships. So as Yan proposed, we use type as a key index ID for relationships that could use multiple sets of remote peers for each type. And the types will also be introduced a bit later. So first, it's about the accuracy identity. Actually, there's several subtypes that need to be clarified. So firstly, it's accuracy like parent, because in this way, it could facilitate the aggregation of metrics to make it more easier to be used. So it's default settings for the nodes. And then it's accuracy unknown, and it's used when the accuracy, is not quantified or cannot be get. and then its accuracy estimated. So for this, it means the accuracy cannot be measured directly. So it will use the metadata from datasheet, etc. And then for accuracy measured, so there's some subtypes like bronze, silver, gold, red ones, and all of them, most of them are percentage based and also absolute value based. For example, if we take a look at the accuracy measurement bronze 100, it means we could use 30% based or 100 to be multiplied by the absolute unit. So in this way, it works very well for small values that doesn't fit the percentage-wise case. So whichever is larger, then it will be counted. And then it's a relationship. We borrowed some subtype from Yeman, namely aggregated metering meted by, and also this powered by and powering. So this is to establish a clear relationship between the local nodes and the remote peers across the box. And it's critical to have it for a reliable calculations and also to avoid the report duplications. And then, as mentioned as well just now by Mauricio, so there's IANA certification types. So we introduced several well-known industry certifications for energy efficiency indicators, so that in this case, there's a basis for these metrics to comply with. So it's rather not a limitation, but impose some support for these indicators. And also these certification types has got some very positive feedback from IANA, from Amanda. So Marisa also already fixed all the issues mentioned. So it's now the updates is in the GitHub repo. And for next steps, so we'll collect feedback from the community, and the design team believe the draft is ready for operational information aspect. So just now, Qin mentioned that if it's a whole overall YAM model or a separate YAM model for different aspects, I think I agree with what Mauricio said. So it's better to work it in different ways. And also, we would like to request for working group adoption. But still, there are some open issues which might influence this draft. So for next presentation, there are some discussions will be led by Benoit, such as operational way versus configuration, and device level versus network wide. So I think many questions could be clarified and completely discussed in the next session. Okay, that's all from my side. Questions or comments? Hi, Tony.
Hi, Tony Lee, Device Geek. How do I turn things off?
Yeah, so you mean the young models may need the switches for some features, right?
Yeah, we want to be able to turn components off. How do we turn them off?
So thank you, Tony. So this is actually one of the key questions. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask the question to the audience because we need to provide more feedback. Whenever we thought about that, we have different views. I mean, your feedback exactly on that point in the next session. Is it possible to postpone it? Thank you.
Two more things along the same lines, and you can tell me I can postpone those too. How do I tell what can be turned off? And then also, how do I express other relationships? Right? I need to be able to say, this line card is dependent on that switch card. Please don't turn off that switch card. And I didn't see a relationship that expresses a functional dependency.
Okay, thank you, Tony. I guess most of the questions could be covered in the next session, and yeah, let's discuss next session. I'm also very interested in these questions.
So Benoit speaking, on the last one, I think that we could address it here. So right now we have three types of relationships, which is powered by, which is aggregated by, and I'm missing one.
Metering, yeah.
Metering, yes. But if this is functionally, I mean, this is an identity, we could simply add it. Because what we've done is that we have the notion of energy object, right? So you take one energy object, a second energy object, and you could just say, if this is a functional dependency, it's not powered by, just functional, we could describe it. We make it flexible for that. It's just an extra relationship. You seemed confused.
Are you proposing adding a relationship?
If this is what you want, yes, it's open. It's an identity, sure. It's somehow, we could even have more identities. Because we discussed at length in EMAN, and we're thinking that there is no point to redo the old entity MIP or the IETF hardware. We say, you know, this component is on that line card because it's not that useful for an energy object. Now, if you say this router depends on this switch, which is removed, and you need it for an energy, obviously.
There is a question on the chat about renaming. There is some literals that have been renamed from RFC 7461. But well, I think that's something that if you don't mind to reply to it, because it's the question on the chat later on when you see it.
So please clarify the question a bit.
I'm curious because it's something that probably could be sorted out easy. Is that is it literally? David Slick said, the literals for relationship types, powered / by, etc., are different from the literals in 7461, e.g., powered by altogether. Was this change to provide consistency with another registry of relationship identifiers?
So it's borrowed from the EMAN MIB with powering and powered by. If it's contradicted with, you know, for some little reasons, we can double check after the meeting, I guess.
Okay, so it's something that it will be sorted out.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chen, sorry, yes.
Yeah, another question. Yeah, this is Xinyu Chen from China Mobile, and I want to confirm one thing, that is the power-related or energy-related data reporting interval has been confirmed in the Young model discussion.
So you mean the powered by or powering relationships, or?
And just the data, the power or the energy data reporting from the device to the.
Yeah, it's already covered. So the instantaneous power we mentioned just now, and the energy consumed, energy delivered. So they're for this purpose on the device and the component level.
Okay, so the time interval is just the minute level, or second, or
For power, it's instantaneous. For energy, it's yeah, it should be some interval based. But here we haven't this interval set for in the young module yet.
oh, okay, okay, thank you.
Benoit, so question to you, do you need to have the interval? Do you need to have the interval part of the Yang module, right? Because if you take the interface stats, we push them, we pull them, but we don't say in the Yang module it has to be every 5 minutes, every 40 seconds. So do you need to have this in that Yang module, or are you actually asking for what are the capabilities of the specific component that the energy could be sent every 5 seconds? And somehow it becomes a telemetry capability.
Yeah, I think for this question, we can discuss offline in more details.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Well, Benoit, time for the open discussion. So let me.
All right, so we've been having this design team light, or whatever you want to call that, for some time now. Every 2 weeks we meet on the Thursday. Why? Because the next Monday there is like a working group meeting, interim, where we try to tackle issues. So we propose solution, and you've seen this in the 2 previous presentations about multiple points. Power, energy attributes, accuracy, relationship, certification, you name it. It was somehow validated what we proposed by the working group, but let's face it, we didn't have a lot of attendance in those meetings. So we need more reviews. So thank you for that. What we have is now a Yang module, which is there for operational data only. This is a fact. Operational data only means like the interface stats. We don't say how frequently we're going to export. Now it's going to come back the capabilities of the box. On that box, with that telemetry protocol, I can export the parameters every 1 minute or every 5 seconds. This is a telemetry capabilities. We don't say in here, you have to push it, or you have to pull it every 5, 10 minutes, seconds, you name it. So it's an open discussion. So maybe we get this discussion at the end, or whenever you want, or what you prefer.
So you think it's, as you believe that it could help better. So probably being open discussion, let's go for it. Tony.
Hi. I think as far as timing is concerned, what I'd be more interested in is how often the box is measuring that particular value.
So yes, there is one RFC that we developed on top of Yang push to give the capabilities. So for example, I could push the interface counters to make something that we know, interface, we all know interface, every 1 minute on that box. And there is also part of that RFC, like it's changing, the state is changing. We could say the capabilities. So to come back to your point, it's more interesting to know how frequently it's measured internally. I'm hoping that this RFC will just say, actually, I can stream it, and this is measured every 10 seconds. So I have the capabilities of that telemetry every 10 seconds on that energy agent, energy ID. Make sense?
Again, I'm more interested in the measurement. I'm less interested in worrying about the streaming or the polling intervals.
I get that. Now there are two ways out of that. Whenever we want the capabilities, you want the capabilities only of the measurements, right? I'm telling that right now we don't have it, but if you want to use that RFC 9196, you could. But if this is a requirement from this community, we could have the extension for these measurements here.
Hi, Beno, Thomas here. Very interesting discussion. Maybe I'm coming more from a young push side, and I fully agree. We have RFC 9196, where we basically detailing on how data can be exported, in which frequency, whether it is on change or not. Now, the questions you're discussing here about measurement, how it's being measured, and what detail on that measurement have, I believe this is a generic discussion and not only related to green itself. Would you agree on that?
Myself, yes, because why I think in terms of telemetry is that if I have to collect this, whereas this energy counters, power counters, interface counters, routing counters, it should be treated the same way in my data collection system.
Exactly. So like we have in Yang Push with 9196, where we basically describing in general for all basic Yang data we are subscribing, what are the data export capabilities. I believe we need something similar for the measurement aspect.
I think so too. Now I'm trying to see if it would be different for energy measurement, for data plane measurement, for something else. And this is where I don't know enough of the different domains on which we need to have the measurement capabilities. But I agree this is a generic problem.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks.
So I'm going to reopen earlier questions. How do I have to turn things off?
This one, I would like to get to it in a few slides. I know this is your question, but don't worry, we'll address this, as I mentioned. Meaning, can I present the slides about config first, and we come back to this? And I've got only 9 slides, I guess. Sorry. So for many of those questions, I would like us to come back to the work items that were proposed by Jan some time ago. By the way, Thomas, you're still in the queue. You want? Okay, fine. So let's try to keep in mind the numbers and the content. So, and there are groups with reporting and config, and also on the controller and on the device. So the item 1 is collection from the controller point of view. It means, how do I get the information? It means, how do I aggregate? How do I make sure I don't double count and all these? Work item 2, reporting from the router or switch or whatever you want. Number 3, now we go in the config. Power saving mechanisms on the device, your point. And number 4, this is power saving or control from the controller point of view, because maybe I want to control my entire network. So that's what we did so far. Number 2, operational data on the device. It's complete? No. Need more reviews? Yes, absolutely. But it's where we need guidance from the working group on what to do next. Because we were thinking, can we do this number 3, the power saving, which is your question, on the components or device? Can we do it quickly? And somehow this is where we need your feedback here on where to go. Because when we discuss this, we even have 2 views. We could say, let's make it very simple, right? I've got like the Yang 3 on the board, and I could simply add in there an extra variable. Power admin state and power upper state, like we do for the interface. Admin down, upper down, and all these. I put 2 in there for the sake of it. If we know about Yang, we have an MDA, we could have only single leaf with 2 operational states. Fine. And then we're thinking, well, that's easy. We do it like in the MIP, the old MIP, and that's fine. But here is the thing. For this, first I need to explain what we have as power states in IANA coming from EMAN. We've got 3 power state sets. One coming from IEEE, because that's what we found in the past. Off, sleep, on, with an IEEE reference. Then we had some from the MTF. Then we had a third one coming from EMAN telling, actually, you need something more generic. So we define a ranking of those. Soft off, hibernate, sleep, standby, and all these. And now the fun starts. We have many questions. And then even between ourselves, there are different views. What do we need? What this group wants to do? Some people are telling, you know what? I care about having a specific intent, which is energy related for my network. Because it's midnight, and I want my network to go to a kind of low power state. But then we face a problem. How do we define the intent? How do I say I want low power state for my network? And somehow, it's not a green-specific problem. Defining the intent is a big problem in industry, right? So this is one view. Now, the question is, do we even want to have power states of individual configuration components? Now, yes and no. That's why I'm bringing all the arguments to the table. The fan, do I need to have like the power state for the fan? Well, for some of those components, they're going to be cell-optimized anyway. The fan will have its own optimizations. However, we know that there are some cases where we need to turn them on-off. A single PoE, a smart PDU. We had a case about energy-optimized routing. Now we ask ourselves, okay, which power state to use? We had some there, if I come back to the slide. Which one to use? Then we looked up, is there any power state that are used in our industry right now? And asking the question is answering the question. Well, not really. So what do we do? Then we thought, okay, there are people coming from the controller, people coming from the router. And we're thinking, let's pretend that now we have a specific vendor telling, I've got this energy feature. We call that energy slicing, E++, whatever. What does it mean in terms of this Yang module or in terms of the controller Yang module? Typically, you would have a single command that's going to enable that energy feature on the router or the network. But does it mean that we're going to have all the individual component settings to make it happen? Because maybe it's a mix of, I will go to the low energy routing with on a different device, a low fan speed. And on the third device, I will have less CPU states. Now the question is, would the vendor even give this secret sauce? The answer is no. So on one side, we've got like a network view. I would like to go to a low energy state of my network with proprietary marketing feature, energy slicing, E++, you name it, and individual components. Now, two more things about the component ID. So maybe I'll skip that one for now. Now the question is also, do we want to delay this Yang module before we have the answer to all these questions? And some of them are not generic to energy, like the intent. And we believe it's not a good idea to delay the publication. Now, Okay, there are two options there, but I see someone in the queue, so please.
Yes, Carsten Rossenhövel from IETF. We have been doing this kind of testing in the mobile network optimization area. And as you know, base stations, GNOBs have hundreds of parameters and it's proprietary. So often it's sometimes just black magic, you know. So that's probably an area where vendors could see this as a way to make to create a profitable service and often optimization. On the other hand, however, there could also be solutions like sonic switches, for example, or server environments which benefit from being as open as possible. And they might want to share as much information as possible so that a controller could reasonably choose the best optimized solution. So I'm wondering if it's possible to create an optional part in the reporting area, which could say, for example, from all of the different settings, this is the recommended one for best power savings, if that's possible, from all of the option space, or at least to say, if you choose this, let's say fan setting, it's going to take that amount of power. If you choose that fan setting, it's going to take this amount of power, and then let the controller decide themselves if they want to speed up the fan and then save power because save something else because the CPU can run faster because it's better cooled, whatever, you know. So I think it's not wise to delay things too much, but maybe it's wise to think about adding a little bit of reporting capabilities to at least give a choice where the vendors are open to giving that choice, the device vendors.
On the second part, which is benchmarking, I fully agree because this is what we need. This line card is going to consume that much in that state, and anyway, we need this. So either we do our own measurement or it's benchmarked by the vendor, we need this. So Tony, I believe that you've got a question, right?
No, actually, I have a proposal.
Okay.
My microwave oven is pretty smart. It allows me to set a power level. It takes a number between 1 and 100. Why don't we do something like that?
Very good proposal. So this is actually what we were trying to do with Eman there. That's what I mentioned, a ranking. Now, is this, how useful is this from an interoperable point of view? Now I have a controller with multiple vendors, with multiple OSs, with multiple versions of the hardware. Now, which problem do you try to solve? Setting an independent component or trying to say, I want to go in that state for my network, which means that I need to keep somehow the mapping between, oh, if I want to go to that state for a network, this is 80%, this 170, and this one is 50. But I kind of agree, and you'll see two proposals, that maybe that's the best that we could be doing from an interoperable point of view.
Okay, so my point of view is that we already have a 3 set of sets, perhaps it's enough. And we don't need to spend time to discuss about that and just allow the vendors to select the set they want. And then, but I'm not opposing to what you are discussing. There can be other things that we can add, but.
And I'm not proposing yet a solution yet. Now we have 3, this is correct. So it depends what we want to solve, because Emil, for us, and Tony, for us, this is easy. You see the green stuff there? It's an identity ref. So from a Yang point of view, it could be anything we want. So that's why we wanted to have this discussion here. Which problem do we try to solve, all right? So, okay, identity ref, we could even have a fourth one, right? Which is, you know what? You prefer to have from 0 to 100? Let's add it.
Yeah, but do we need to delay the work?
I'm coming. I mean, this one, what is your answer?
I think we can go with these 3 sets and then add another mechanism later if you want. In parallel, I'm not saying it's not good.
Okay.
Just watch the timer, please. That we have. I mean, this is the kind of discussion that you are expected to get engaged in the interim course. So you have this feeling of this and helping the team in developing the models.
Yes.
Hauke from DT. I think just looking at 3 states is not enough because think of the hardware, how it works today. There is no on-off sleep. There is maybe on, there's maybe off, there's maybe partly sleeping, partly on, partly off. That's not complex enough to build the world. That's my opinion.
So, if you don't mind, okay, you need more states. How many? Do you arrive to the solution of turning it from 0 to 100? And then what does it mean from a semantic point of view per device, per vendor, per... Or maybe, and this is what I have here, which is, I'm going to present this, and we say we just add the state, the read-write now, and we have the power state series, and how it's applied, we cannot solve this here, or not now. Yeah. This is what your point is? Okay.
You know, you could get arbitrarily complicated here. You can imagine an NPU that's got 1,000 cores in it and a different power set state for turning off each individual core. And this is getting to the point of ridiculous. We're never going to be able to describe everything in the model. And so we have to have some kind of abstraction that everybody can interoperate with.
Very good. Can I just conclude with 2 options? And
yeah, no, well, we have to speed up. But
okay, so I've got 2 slides and 2 options. The first one, and I write it maybe badly, like the controller view, which means that in terms of the work package or the item, we just say, we publish this item 2, solving the telemetry case. Then what we should be doing ideally is try to get work package 1 done, where we disaggregate, etc. Then we go to the network-wide controller view. And then if we solve that one, we come back to the Yang module to do properly the settings. This might be the most theoretical and the right way to do it, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to solve the configuration from network-wide, as I mentioned before. Or option 2, which is actually, we just add this read-write variable. It's an IETF. It points to the power state set we have. If someone wants an extra one from 0 to 100, all of them make sense somehow. Then we're good. And it's not our business to say, to even try to solve this interoperability issue of the states per device type and vendors. So this is my last slide, but we need direction for the people. Did I hear correctly that somehow we want to go to this option 2 for now? But it doesn't mean that we're not going to try.
My impression from what has been said in what has been commented in the room is that we are leaning, or here that we are leaning for option 2, yes.
Very good, but it doesn't mean we're not going to do the work item 1 that we have to do, and maybe try the 4 there. Thank you.
There are a couple of other comments on the list, on the queue. First is Rob.
A couple of comments. So first one, in terms of these power settings, I think I'm scared that if we have too many different sort of choices and things, we end up with no interoperability at all, because every vendor does something different. We've got the interoperability in terms of we've got a single leaf, but different meanings. So I think we want to try and get some commonality there and some flexibility, and I think Yang identities allow that. And to sort of echo one of the comments that Tony made about this getting arbitrarily complex again, I think we need to try and focus on solving the simple cases and making sure we can do those. And then if we need to expand it and add more states, then we can do that. So that's that specific question. In terms of the work next, I'm not sure I've got a clear conclusion on what's been suggested here. It does feel to me that it's important to to maybe focus on a couple of these things at the same time. So I know that there's folks that want to work on the controller stuff to do that. I know Tony's also got dependency of the work he's doing in other places where he wants to know what the settings are going to be on the device. So I would like to sort of try and cover both of those and maybe divide and conquer a bit to see if we can sort of progress both of those a bit in parallel, at least to a stage where we've got a rough idea of what we're doing, even if we don't get to the stage where we publish them quite yet and finish them. If that makes sense?
Point one, let's see, because your simple case is not someone else's simple case. And it means that the only logical conclusion is that we have to do something in a generic way. On the point two, it makes sense to work on item one the same time that we do power saving, but the other option was to wait until we tried everything, and maybe I wouldn't delay the Yang module.
Thomas, please, very, very fast.
Very short. On the power states, I like to understand, do we need a ranking or not? Or is it just a string where and an identity where we describe basically we are now in this power state?
Good question. I don't know. It depends what we want to solve. If you've got enough from the description to know that you go to something lower, better, whatever metric, then maybe it's sufficient. I don't know.
My suggestion is to clarify that now, whether this is needed or not, and based on that, we can move on.
Carsten, please.
Yeah.
2 words.
Thank you.
Then I need to think a long time about 2 words. I think we won't fully understand the realm now, so it's fine to progress and just let everybody know in the document this is not the last version ever, because some vendors sometimes implement things and then they keep their implementations fixed for a long time. I would also think we shall not imply by like 0 to 100 that it's a linear scale. In many cases, it's non-linear. Also for the power states, the savings are non-linear. So that should be reflected at least. Maybe if there's a ranking, the ranking is not linear. It doesn't get 20% better. And my preference would also be with option 2, like focus on work item 3, because then the working group can actually show improvements. It can show a benefit of the work. It's not only monitoring.
Okay, so Luis, jump in and please be brief.
I will be short.
One second, because I have to now start the whole process of slides. This is Petra.
Yeah, so next presentation is an update of this path energy traffic radio API that we have been presenting sometimes already, and I will do on behalf of Mike Walfors. So the motivation, just a refresh of what is the purpose of the document, was to provide the visibility in regards to energy consumption for a path. So metrics such as power consumption between source and destination, basically reflected in the graph. So the idea is to define this API that can provide that information using well-known architectures and schemas, so essentially using YAM models for it, and with the purpose of this information to be consumed either internally or externally, so that we can use for reporting consumption for customers, maybe as the case of SD1 or any other, but also internally, so that we can, based on this information, the information retrieved by the API, so act on the network, maybe through optimization, through taking actions at configuration that has been discussed long before. So we have presented a number of times, as said. Early version was presented in PNRG some time ago. And just for your reference, there is a spin-off of another document that is being contributed to Sustain with the purpose of covering parameters that do not fit on the green charter. So more sustainable related parameters. So changes in this version, we have been working on refining the model. We have modified some basically model stuff, both throughput defined at decimal 64. We have also added the data source accuracy that again presented before as part of the data model and some other minor fixes. And relevant here is that we are starting to align with the green data model that was presented as well by Marisol. So somehow trying to converge and yeah, positioning this API as a potential API that could retrieve the information based in the model. Really going through the positioning of this API, on your right, you can see that essentially the role when mapped to the framework document would be to serve as one of the potential APIs for retrieving the information, so the service interface. Could be others as well, but basically that this API could play that role. And in relation with the service and model draft, RFC, sorry, the RFC 8309, Petra could play different roles. Could be on top of the network controller, could be on top of the network orchestrator, so in case that we have different domains or even multi-layer approaches, or we could offer this API even for the customers, as said before, so that can be consumed from external customers. So, yeah. So going to the last slide, for the benefit of time, we have yet pending to generalize the model for not being only applicable for IP networks, there are for IP endpoints. So there are a number of situations where probably we could use this API, like could be the non-packet switched technologies, in case of optical, even scenarios where we can combine this multi-layer thing, so IP plus optical, or other artifacts like network slicing and so on. In many of these cases, well, in the majority of these cases, we don't have API endpoints, so we want to generalize also to them. Of course, we will keep working on aligning this with the green modeling efforts so that basically is fully aligned and we converge and explore other scenarios. Probably this is more futuristic. So using this API for incentivation so that the external customer or internal ones could use this information for performing optimization actions in the network. Once the work in the other drafts in the working group are adopted, probably we'll trying to request working group adoption. And we know that now the focus is in the other work in green. So, but yeah, this is our aim. And with this, I'm done, and I will not take more minutes.
Well, this is I mean, I would say this is a good example of what we're mentioning about going beyond the core model. And yeah, that's.
Thank you.
Well, let's keep talking about this.
Sure.
I don't see anyone on the queue. So next one is Jinjie. Yes, please. So now I'm gonna I need to do all the magic before you. This always takes a little bit longer than we need something more immediate. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Jinjie Yan from ZTE Corporation. And today I want to present our new draft, Export of Energy Consumption Information in EpiFix, co-authored by Jimmy Lee from China Mobile. Before I begin, I want to make a special note that while this draft is formally submitted to the OPSA WG working group, we still think it's fundamentally energy monitoring technology and related to our green working groups. And we believe that the experts from the green working group would give some very valuable feedback and suggestions. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you.
You can use this. Okay. You should use it.
First, I want to introduce the background. Now, energy consumption has become a very critical optional metric in the modern data centers and networks, driven by such as sustainability requirements, cost efficiency demands, and regulatory compliance. And the network operators need accurate and traffic correlated power information and to support some scenarios such as energy-aware routing decisions, per service energy cost accounting, and fine-grained power optimization. While there are some gaps in the existing protocols, Current protocols such as SAMP and netconf, they often rely on the periodic polling, and this will lead to a loss of causality between the traffic events and energy consumption, lead to delay in size, and unable to correlate power spikes with the traffic burst. And why we need EPIFIX for the energy information exporting. And we talk back to the eliminations of the existing approaches. First, let's see the SAMP and netconf. They often use the request-response module and with a fixed polling intervals. This cannot establish a causal binding between the traffic events and the power consumption. And to the young push, I think it still fails to check the traffic-induced power changes, and the data sampling is decoupled from the data plane load dynamics. And the EPIFIX has 3 key advantages, and we'll list it here. First is traffic-driven, and this combines monitoring directly to the traffic events and ensure timely and causal reporting. The second is the exporting can be traffic correlated. The export can be triggered by packet counts or inactive timeouts. And the EPIFIX is also extensible. It is easy to add new information elements without the protocol stack changes. So to make a summary, the core insight is EPIFIX event-driven architecture is naturally suited for the traffic-correlated energy telemetry. And to overview our draft, our core proposal is that we define 6 new EPIFIX information elements to export energy consumption for both physical entities in the network devices. And we have 3 granularity levels, the device level, the line card level, and the port level. And we involve 2 type of metrics. The first is the real time, which is instantaneous metrics, and the average interval-based metrics. And the key characteristic is that the traffic-driven export preserves causality between the traffic events and the energy consumption. And we also list some target applications such as energy overrouting, per flow energy auditing, and fine-grained power management. Here is the new information elements that we propose. At the device level is device real-time power and device average power. At the line card level is line card real-time power and line card average power. And finally, the port level is port real-time power and port average power. And these elements exporting should be triggered with different mechanisms in the EPIFIX. First, such as packet count, the export when N packets are processed, and it can also be triggered by the active timeout mechanisms. This might be suited for the sustained but low rate traffic. And finally is inactive timeout. This can be triggered when there are no packets arrived. And we put 2 use cases here. The first one is energy wire routing. The goal is the compute network paths that memorize total energy cost, not just the latency or bandwidth. The traditional metrics are per proxies for power. The polling is too slow to capture the power spikes caused by the macroburst. So we expect the export real-time power triggered by the traffic thresholds. This provides instantaneous power draw data directly correlated with specific traffic loads. And the second is the per flow energy auditing. We want to attribute the energy cost to specific services or customers, such as the elephant flow, which consumes significant resources across multiple companies, but traditional monitoring is only device-wide. And we want to make the solution that we can correlate, such as a fine tempo flow with a line card and the power energy IEs, synchronized export to ensure the data alignment. We have two key innovations here. First is the traffic aware collection. We use traffic events as the core triggering mechanism, and so we can solve the asynchronized collection problem of polling and enables precise casual attribution. The second is composite templates. We want to combine multiple level energy IEs, such as device, line card, port with their identifiers. And we want this can synchronize collection of relevant energy data in a single export event. Okay, that's my presentation. And any questions or feedback are welcome. Thank you.
My only recommendation, I find this interesting, and this is some interesting work. My recommendation is that you should align units and measurements intervals and everything with the core model, so they are consistent. So the collection of data is consistent. That's my only comment. But I see Rob and Benoit are on the queue, so well, please, Rob, you go first. Please be fast in both cases. I'm going to close the queue anyway. So.
Okay, I will. I mean, I think probably Benoit might give a better chance here. I'm still not sure that IPFix is the right solution for this. So I think Benoit's the expert here who knows. If it's definitely related to traffic flows, then I think IPFix is great. But otherwise, if it's just getting information off the device, even if it's related to instantaneous power that's being used due to traffic spikes, I still think that Yang push is a better mechanism here. So I don't really understand the use case that well.
Okay, and in my opinion, I don't think IPFix would be the right choice, but we want to make some options for the energy saving management solution. Thank you.
All right, quickly go back to the slides with all the IPFix information elements. If you use IPFix, there is something to be optimized because you put like a line card, port, device, then what else are we going to have? We're going to have software, we're going to have process, and somehow you're overloading the IPFix information element with something which is the context. So that's why in the Yang we have energy object is generic with a value, and we report power, energy, etc. To get to the list.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we can discuss it later offline. And thank you for your advice.
Okay.
Sorry, can I have a comment? Oh.
Sorry, but otherwise you can use the list if you don't, the green list if you don't mind.
Yeah, we can discuss offline.
Thank you. So, Chinyu, come here while I prepare the. Yes, the hybrid, right? Yes.
Okay, thanks, Chair. And hi, everyone. This is Xinyu Chen from China Mobile. And here I'm presenting our latest draft on hybrid energy saving mechanism for transport network on behalf of all the authors. Yeah, to begin with, it's important to record the conception that here we mentioned the transport network is a combination of the IP layer and the underlay layer. So it combines the flexible ability to do the routing and the rigid resource allocation. And so previously, our network level cross-layer and saving this use case has been incorporated in the use case draft. So thanks to the collaborative with Emil, Stephen, and Xin Wu. So thank you very much. And here we just propose a hybrid approach for green that combines the fast local response with coordinated holistic network-wide optimization, all while maintaining SLA guarantees. And all these are supported by power-related monitoring and policy configurations and young models. So here, what does this hybrid actually means? First, we have device-centric operations, and it is local and fast with real-time localized energy adjustments by individual network elements. And local data connection and pre-configured policies are performed. And so it enables fast response to transient traffic fluctuations, and it maintains autonomous operations even if the controller connection is down. And then the hybrid mechanism also concludes the controller-centric operations. It is global and strategic with centralized holistic view across the Intel network domains. So here it can perform cross-layer analytic and long-term traffic prediction. Based on these policies, it can access network level risks and formulates the strategic policies for energy saving. So here the hybrid approach is immediate reaction and global optimization. And so here, the most important thing is that to achieve the hybrid mechanism for energy saving, a lot of reliable power-related data is required. So here we have three layered data monitoring layers, and including the power monitoring, traffic monitoring, and topology monitoring. And for the power monitoring, it comes from the component level, like boards, fans, or PSUs, to the device level. And we think that the period means that the reporting or the acquisition, the interval has been defined. And for the traffic monitoring, not just the port traffic, but down to the tunnel traffic, we think is also really important for service assessment and migration for energy saving. And the third is the topology monitoring, and it is from a network level to perform the cross-layer visibility across the transport and IP layers. And so it can capture protection relationships and service mappings. And here we just show the device-centric and controller-centric operations. And we won't go through in detail, but shows here we just shows the operation flows among these, and we can see it formulates a loop control, and from the device to the controller, and from the controller to the device. And we think that maybe for data connection, different layers must focus on different data granularities. And for analysis, and the model for green for energy saving policies will be different, such as for the controller, maybe AI or ML engines can be inserted, but for the devices, maybe only lightweight algorithm can be considered. And and here we just showed some information flows we can think in this system. So we listed here, and the first one is the controller to the users. It may include the not-bound interfaces for configuring objectives and viewing results. And for controller to devices, it may refer to the southbound interfaces for policy distributing and telemetry or some commands, and to device to device, and it is a scenario that we imagine here that maybe some devices can have peer interactions for local energy saving coordinations and capability advertisements. And so also the security for network and saving is also a really important factor. So here we just considered service-aware power states and based on the general power states. So we think that power state should be alignment with the service tolerance and network idle or busy cycles. And risk-controlled energy saving is also should be considered because, for example, if protection path may carry extra traffic normally, but must be instantly available for failover scenarios. So we think that risk assessment is mandatory before we turn the device into some low power or sleep mode. We also have some deployment considerations, but for the time limitation, we just to show some real time to some demo results, and we have deployed this at both at the controller side and the device side. Yeah, and energy wellness routine policy is also verified and to achieve a network-wide and saving profit. And protection switching or and traffic burst reliability is also verified. Yeah, so next step, we believe that maybe this draft establish the foundation. So looking forward, we see some potential extensions and maybe can discuss with you guys. And first, the interface and the data models, we think that cross-layer and status, how to exchange, and device power state, how to negotiate, and what is the required granularity, and then how to facilitate understanding of power or energy saving states among the related devices to enable collaborative energy optimization. And the second is what monitoring dimensions are essential to guarantee SLAs during energy saving mode. So here's all for today's presentation, and comments and feedbacks are really welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone in the queue. I'm curious. So Rob is there, but just what you think is something that happens above the controller, right? In general, whatever the controller is.
Yeah, now here we may mention the controller is the controller app devices to.
Yeah, which is on top of the green controller.
Yes, yes.
Rob, please.
Yeah, thanks for this presentation. I think that this is very interesting. I think lots of what you cover here is very much in the scope of what Green is doing and is covered by other drafts and things. So I was trying to understand what the scope of this document actually is. Is this really about you documenting a use case that you're doing now in terms of like explaining how you're deploying the benefits you're getting? It's like, is it an informational draft? Are you saying that there needs to be more guidance and general instructions about how everything fits together, although that seems to be close to the framework? So I was trying to understand what the goal or focus of this document is, or what you're aiming for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. And as you can see that we think that in this kind of scenario, the cross-layer and saving, we can extract some contents and is related to the working groups, use case draft, framework draft, or some young model drafts. And besides, we think that the cross-layer is also a systematic piece of work. So we want to separate some models, data models, or some just the framework, or just more importantly, make just the data models and to do a separate from a system system draft or and to cooperate with the others from the network level, the network level holistic view. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so can you feed back some of that into that on the list to framework, the people working the framework documents in terms of your ideas, and also be very clear as to how what you're adding adds on or is separate from that. That'd be, I think, helpful to see how positions work.
Oh, okay, and of course, we will to do the alignment with the framework and the models drafts and coordinate with others more often. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so well, we have our last presentation. Thank you, Shinju. And then I need to go again and do the. We have to confirm too many things at the same time. So once and again. Functional entities, selection confirm, and now you have the control.
So hello everyone. Again, this is Luis from Telefonica. I will introduce this new draft. It was originally directed to Sustain, but we received advice from the Sustain chairs to move here. So I will present this idea of defining functional entities for enabling per-service eco-data reporting. So the objective essentially is to identify potential functional blocks that could help us to collect the information about energy consumption and then basically aggregate that so that we can report towards APIs that could be part of the framework. So the additional blocks that we have initially identified are the ones that you can see in the sub-bullet, so service discovery. When we comment here about service, we refer to the service connectivity, So service discovery, resource allocation, energy measurement, attribution, and if necessary, orchestration. So if we want to optimize capabilities in the network. So apart from that, a function that would be necessary as well would be the one of reporting. So once we have aggregated the data, how to report that to external or internal entities. So key concepts of the document, we are describing the functional components. So we are identifying those components that would enable this per-service energy attribution within a network domain. Also, we are reusing all the different artifacts that have been defined in the green framework, so energy objects, interfaces, and the framework itself. And finally, mapping those functional components defined in the document on top of this reference framework. So, well, I will not spend more time on the framework because it was already presented. So proposed functional blocks, we are, for instance, proposing the service energy information function. The idea of this function would be to be responsible of attributing the resource level energy measurements to the service level energy consumption. So basically associate the different consumption about the different elements in the that are traversed by the connectivity services so that we can basically attribute the consumption to the service. Then the resource energy measurement function, the idea of this functionality would be to provide the raw energy telemetry that could be used for the other functions for compose the end-to-end. Then the resource allocation function that will track which resources are allocated to a service. Yeah. So if we are considering as a connectivity services, so would be what is the information that the energy information that is collected from the different network elements that the connectivity service is passing through. Then the service directory function. Here, the idea would be to get a list of active connectivity services and map each service identifier to the different service instances. So essentially to understand the chain of nodes that are being traversed by a connectivity service. Then the orchestration and automation function. So with the idea of having orchestration that could optimize and manage the connectivity service placement. So where we basically instantiate the connectivity path. And then the reporting function that will be the one consolidating all this information and reporting back to the one that is consuming this API. So the functional mapping of this function, and this is a very initial exercise, is as you can see there. So the reporting function essentially playing the role of this API service interface, and then having basically at the device component level the telemetry part, and then in the controller level, the other functions that will essentially process the telemetry, associate the telemetry with the network elements that are being used for a certain connectivity path, aggregating all of that, and then passing it through the reporting function. Apart from that, the orchestration function that we will leverage on that in case that an external customer that could be internal or external, require a kind of optimization for the purpose of improving the energy efficiency. On the text, you can see the process flow. I will not take more time because we basically lack of that time. But basically, the idea would be to associate to the different interfaces that we have in the framework. So, as conclusion, the document proposes this identification of functional blocks. What will be needed for having this allocation of this attribution of energy for a given connectivity service? All of this is a preliminary exercise, so for sure we know that we will need much more iterations on having something much more solid. And the idea for presenting here would be to collect interest from the working group to understand if this is of interest for Green, essentially. Our next step is also to move the draft to Green Working Group. As said, initially was targeted to sustain, but there is essentially no research topic here. And with this, we will work on preparing a new version for next IETF and collecting and incorporating feedback that we already have started to collect, and for instance, the one from Adrian from Deutsche Telekom. And that's all from my side. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we are just in time for closing, unless there is a final comment on this. No, well, we'll keep doing things beyond and above the core models in parallel. Well, just let me formally close the meeting, and thanks to you all. Keep reviewing documents, keep joining the discussions, the interesting discussions we have here. This is the kind of things that are discussed in the interims. Come and join us. Is as fun as it was here. Thank you so much. Rob, consider yourself dismissed, and consider the possibility of an invention that everybody says is Spanish, but it was invented by Romans, which is siesta. Take it. That's good.
Thank you. Thanks all. And thanks, Luis, for stepping in.
Welcome. Take care. A ver cómo desconecto esto ahora. Ay, bueno, les recomiendo hacer cepillamiento por una siesta y todo así. No, está bien. Yo lo que pasa, a mí, esta gente me ha mucho. Un yanquero. Yo no acabo de. No sé por qué. ¿No? Sorry. My knee skill